Hello, this is National Chess Master Rats at chess.com to continue my video series on the correspondence team match between my video lessons group and CARPE DIEM. This was played on board 182, and our man is Alex Hugh 8, rated low 1600s versus mid 1400s. So we have a rating advantage. The match ended a win apiece. Let's take a look at our man's win and see what happens, how we can tear this game apart. Okay, Philidor's defense. It's a kind of a slow system, but it's solid. It affords black reasonable chances. And I've covered the Philidor in some other variations. I'll just kind of point to that: queen takes, knight takes, or not knight takes, knight c6, bishop b5, bishop d7. You take. I'll show you these moves in a second. But you should get all these down: bishop g5, bishop e7, white castles, black castles. And there's a game of Alyekin's in his best game collection, his first volume, where he won with a pawn storm. Now, let's take a look at those moves. I've covered this in another video already, but it's good to see these things again. If you can get your hands on that book, it's still in print. I think it's an English descriptive notation, though. You're going to have to learn that, but it's worth learning. And here's the moves I was just pointing to with the diagram. And actually, this is similar in some respects to what happens in the game. We get opposite side castling and pawn storms, and only one side can end up victorious. It's white. We're going to find out why. And hopefully the reasons why white wins will help you defend the position when you're faced with opposite side castling. Okay, so white has every intention of castling opposite here. And this move weakens d6, but in a way there's not much to be exploited with that. This pawn is pretty safe and secure. It could be a long-range problem, and white's happy to bring his knight back. He doesn't mind if black captures because this gives him a half-open file to conduct his attack. Black doesn't want any part of that. And then white castles. And here's an interesting position. Black is counting on the fact that the knight on f3 is pinned, but white can actually take this. Black doesn't have time to take on d1 because white has an interesting move here. Knight takes f7. And this is a tempo on the queen, and if rook takes, bishop takes, king takes, and then guess what? White's bagged pawn. Okay, now could black do any different? Yes, he could. Let's take a quick look. Black's only other choice is really to move the queen. A4, A5 seems to be the best square to put it. However, white can give a discovered check, force the king in the corner, and then pick up this bishop. And looks like white's done okay here. White's won 2 minor pieces for the rook, and in addition to that, he also has a pawn. So, but black doesn't have to play into this. Black shouldn't be greedy and grab the rook on d1. I just wanted to point this out. And black can just eliminate the knight right now. White needs to save his rook. There could be a queen trade here. White can't avoid it unless he's willing to give up material. So, like for instance, f3. If black wants to trade queens, he can. And then, well, where are you going to put this bishop? Well, you put it on h5. It's not going to have much of a future. I suppose you could put it on e6. White's got this d5 square. If white takes, this takes away the d5 square. These are double pawns, but it's not something necessarily that white can exploit. Black should be holding his own here, and a lot of the winning chances are diminished. So, even though knight takes e5 is playable, I just wanted to point it out. It might not be the best move, but it seems that black's doing okay here. And whoops, didn't play that. He drops his bishop back. And now black eyeballs the c4 square. And so many times I've condemned these h3 moves, but I'm not here because this is logical. White's trying to start his pawn roller, okay? And now black goes out to secure the bishop pair, and white parts with his light squared bishop. And usually when you pick up the bishop pair, it comes at a loss of some tempos. So white's got his pawn storm off and running, and black doesn't. What black needs to do is get his pawn storm rolling, and unfortunately he doesn't. Well, he does in a little bit, but black's next move isn't logical because it doesn't really help his position. Okay, timing is of the essence here. White's going to be throwing everything he can at black's king, and for black to have a chance here, black needs to throw everything he has at the white king. Okay, so moves like b5 come to mind. If white wants to try to win a pawn, let him. It just opens, retreat the bishop, grab the pawn, stick the rook on b8, maybe bring the queen out to b6. Suddenly there's some decent attacking chances for black. But black needs to think about a move like a6 or maybe even queen a5. Okay, start pressuring, getting ready to pressure this knight and soften up the a2 square. So if you're defending an opposite side castling, don't be decorating your own position, playing on the king side. Let the attack come. You got to get yours going. Generally speaking, all these attacks are defendable, each and every one of them. If they weren't, then we would be seeing opposite side castling in every game and one side always winning, and that would destroy opening theory. You have to make a mistake to lose a game in opposite side castling, and rook e8 didn't really help black's position here. So white's getting his pawn roller going, but you know what? Black's still in the game, and now white's trying to redeploy his knight, but for the moment this knight's keeping it out. And now black plays the correct move, b5. He gets his off and running, but white chases that knight out of that good square, gets his own pawns going. And here comes the critical point where black starts getting a bad game. As I was saying, you want to be playing on your side of the board, in this case the queen side. It's time for moves, whoops, not going that way, this way, along this motive. Let the white attack come, and I'll talk about it here in a second. See, the last thing you want to do when a pawn storm is coming your way is move your pawns voluntarily. Let them. The sooner you move the pawns, the quicker the tension is going to occur. Now black hasn't moved any yet. He's going to, and that proves to be his downfall. But earlier, had black played an h6, this g5 is going to force a file open. You want these pawns to go as far as they can. Okay? That takes more moves. When you advance your pawns in front of your king, it takes fewer moves to create tension and start opening up lines. Okay? So if black plays b4 or queen a5, he's right in the game. Let's take a look at queen a5. Now, the worst thing that can happen is, like I was saying, you get checkmated. Okay, let's try g6. We'll try two moves here. Well, black has a theme here he can do. I'll show it to you. h6. Now, this kind of stops the white attack. Doesn't mean white can't attack. White could try for combinations, but he's gonna have to sacrifice a piece to do something like this. And as long as black has enough pieces in the vicinity of his king, he should be able to patch things up and hold on. That doesn't mean that the sacrifice is sound or unsound. Chances are it's probably unsound, but it can, without accurate play, it could look very, very sound. But if you're going to play these opposite side castling positions, you got to experience it and then try to defend it. Okay? Because you'll learn from the defense what you did was whether it was right or wrong, and then you'll be able to correct it next time. So let's look at the other black pawn advance, or white pawn advance. That's to play h6. Well, here's a case where you just push by. Now, it did weaken It did weaken the f6 square, and of course g7 is weak. However, white doesn't have h6 anymore, and that proves critical. Because what black plays is g6, and we'll see how this leads to his doom. When black plays g6, white's able to make a capture, and h6 stays vacant. And now this knight's coming in very potently, and black's in serious trouble, and white can pretty much win any way he wants. White's winning right now, just simply because of this g6 move. And white missed a very strong continuation here. Queen h2 threatens mate on the move, and it pretty much it's going to require black to give up some material here. How are you going to guard this? Well, you're going to have to make room for the king. You're going to have to play f5 or f6, but that just lets the queen right in. And after king h8, queen takes g6, now threatens a mate in 2. The bishop must come back, and then you take it with either your queen or your rook, and you have checkmate. So white missed this. This would have won a little quicker, but it's a happy position to be in if you don't see the right way. There are other good moves, and the knight just comes into d5, and really black doesn't have a defense. He brings the bishop back to f8, and black's best choice was probably to take that knight, but white still got a clear advantage. There's nothing black can do here, and black's busy dealing with the white threat, and he's set his pawn storm up, but he doesn't have any follow-up, and white's attack is in full swing. Now white finds a sacrifice, and the queen penetrates, and the king goes for a walk, and there's got to be a lot of ways to win this. White just finds a nice way to put black's out of his misery. And look at that black king. He's hopelessly exposed, and he doesn't even have a path to try to find haven this way. So white just advances him further and forces a reply, and then there's a checkmate, and game's over. So what did black do wrong? Black weakened his king position. Black started his queenside attack, but he didn't pursue it. And we can see the uselessness of this rook. It's never moved again. One more tempo in the game might have given black a chance to create some threats, and that's anybody's game. So that's basically what you need to do when you're faced with a pawn storm situation. White did what he was supposed to. Black didn't. Black stopped to defend the attack and only ruined his position. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. There'll be more videos coming, and real soon we'll talk to you on the next one. Thank you.